Hi friends, today I wanted to do a video on things that I do in my kitchen to save money. These are going to be tips that I use, and obviously I'm hoping that a lot of these will be useful for you, but if there's things that you don't like or you think this is not something you want to do, you can take the things that will be useful to you and leave the rest behind. Before I get started, I wanted to just ask you to please subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, I ask that you press like on the video. It will help me grow my small channel, and then hopefully you'll see all my future videos. I did want to kind of talk about the reason that I'm doing this video, and the reason that I decided to do this video was because when I started paying off my debt, which I followed Dave Ramsey a couple years ago, I was paying off my debt, and I pretty much went through my entire budget, and I felt like I'd scrubbed my budget of anything that I could save money on. I had cut back on, anything that I could possibly even think. Like I had, shopped around for auto insurance. I had shopped around for a lot of different things, and I felt like I was just using the bare minimum of everything, and that there was nothing I could do really to save more money. So I kind of had to go down to really small things. And so a lot of these are going to be really small things, but I feel like even the small things make a difference. And especially if you've done everything to, cut extra costs from your budget, that hopefully these small things will also add up over time. Obviously, this is not something you're going to notice hundreds of dollars at one time, but this will help you in the long run change your spending habits and basically rethink the way you're spending money, and think about the things that you use on a daily basis and how you can maybe cut back on some of your expenses or reduce those expenses as much as possible. So I'm going to start with the first thing that I do. So this is my dishwashing tablets. I just keep them in here under my sink. So these dishwasher tablets are from Costco, and they are rock solid. So, and I don't know if they were always rock solid because I've had them for a while, or they just sat around for a while and they become rock solid. But what I normally do with these dishwashing tablets is that I take scissors and I actually cut them in half. You would think they would be hard to cut in half, as hard as they are, but they're not. And then the powder tends to remain in the other half. So I just put the other half back in the jar. But I cut these in half and I use them in my dishwasher. And the reason I decided to do that was because I had a repairman come a couple years ago for my washing machine, and he was saying that I was using too much detergent. And I was like, well, I'm using the amount that's on the jar or on the container. And he was like, well, it's too much. Most machines are not made for that anymore. They're like high efficiency machines. And so they do not require that much detergent. So that kind of got me thinking about other things that I might have been using too much soap, too much whatever, and if I could cut back on any of those things. So I basically decided to cut this in half, and I can tell you that I noticed no difference. Now, I've mentioned this to a friend of mine, and she does not think that the dishes will come clean with half of it, but I have not noticed any difference in it at all. So certainly it's something that if you're trying to cut costs and you're trying to make things stretch, and this can obviously make it. These I think were like 90 about 90 of these little tablets in a box. And so I cut them in half and I get, 180. And I don't turn on my dishwasher every day. It's about every other day. So I felt like that's close to getting me like 1 year supply of dishwashing detergent. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. Now, obviously, like I said, if you notice anything in your dishes and you feel like it's not cleaning your dishes, go back to a regular tablet. But it's certainly worth a try. It's just something that I decided on my own to do, and it seems to work for me. So the next thing I want to talk about is this Dawn dishwashing. The next thing I want to talk about is this Dawn dishwashing power wash and the dish detergent. So I'm going to start with the dish detergent. I bought this bottle probably, I'm going to say at least a year ago, maybe even longer than a year ago. And I told myself that I wanted to buy it, obviously, because this mechanism that's up here in the top half of the bottle is what's causing it to foam up as it's coming out. And that's not something I can duplicate with a spray bottle. So I bought this with the plan that I would figure out how to make this and then, just never buy it again. So like I said, I feel like I've owned this I feel like it's been almost 2 years, but at least 1 year. And so what I do is I bought a big bottle of Dawn detergent. I'm going to feel like a commercial for Costco, but I bought it from Costco, the big giant bottles, and those bottles last me forever, because what I do is I fill this bottle. It's going to be hard to kind of I'm going to say about like an inch, sort of like I'm kind of measuring with my finger. I kind of fill it up to where my finger is, with the Dawn dish detergent, just the regular Dawn dish detergent. And then I fill it the rest of the way up to this line, this line up here, and I fill that with water. So what I normally do, some people like to put the water in first because the dishwashing detergent foams when you put water on it, but it's really hard for me to guess when I'm up here. So I just like to like I said, my method is my finger. So I basically just fill in the water really slowly so it doesn't bubble that much. And then that's pretty much, oh, it actually even says fill to here. So that's where I fill the water to. Now I will say two things that I've had problems with. One, sometimes because I'm just kind of eyeballing how much detergent is, too much detergent goes in there and then it ends up coming out kind of thick, and you can see the detergent instead of just looking like white foamy stuff. You can see the detergent. So what I normally do is just continue using it. When it goes down a little bit, I add a little bit more water and then it's fine. The other thing, and that's just kind of started happening recently, is that when I press down on this, it does not go back up. So I have to kind of pull it to get it back up. But that's just started happening for me in the last 2 months or so. So I'm thinking either this mechanism is failing or something's clogged in it. And honestly, for me, I don't really care. It's not worth, I mean, I probably at some point could buy another bottle and just continue doing the same thing I'm doing, but it really doesn't bother me to pull it up when I'm dispensing the soap. So that is one thing I do, and I just keep reusing this bottle, and I've not had to buy it for quite a while, and I just use the refill of the Dawn detergent. So the other thing is this Powerwash. I found a really good recipe. Honestly, I do not know. I would like to give them credit for it, but I just took a screenshot of it, so I don't even remember which website or wherever I got it from. But there's like so many people out there with different recipes for it. I will actually list the recipe in the description box for you, but I basically take this, and the only thing that goes in here, it's kind of crazy, is, and the recipe will tell you exactly how much to put, is the Dawn dish detergent. I put this rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol in there, and then I put water. And it even smells like the regular Dawn when you spray it. I mean, it smells just like it, and it foams just like it. So this has been really wonderful. This is actually a refill. This is not the original bottle. So when I got it, I don't buy the refills. There's just no way I'm going to pay for that because they're like $5, and it's just like, I'm not going to do that, especially if I could try making it myself. So this is something else I've been doing, and it's been working for me. So I'm a big fan of Dawn. So obviously you could probably use any other detergent, but this is just the detergent that I've chosen to use. So the next thing I do is that I make sure I recycle everything that I possibly can recycle. This might seem like a weird money saving tip, but I basically go through my goal for recycling as much was twofold. Obviously, I think it's good for the environment if the stuff is really being recycled, which I have no idea. I'm not even going to comment on that. But my goal was to recycle as much as possible, because I felt like as much as I put in my recycle bin, that's less that goes into my trash bag. And we have two people that live here in our house, and for the two of us, we go through like I think it's like 13 gallon is a regular size kitchen bag, and we go through about a 13-gallon bag a week. Obviously, it will differ from family to family, but a lot of families I've noticed just throw their cans, all of their recyclables right into the trash can. And obviously, if your city, county, area allows you to recycle, I think it's really a good thing, like I said, for the environment itself. And then also, it just saves you garbage bags. These are all very small things, but I don't want to pay for the garbage bags more than I have to. And I feel like, hey, I'm helping out the environment by doing my part. And then I'm also helping my pocketbook by having to spend less on trash bags. So I know this is a small thing, but it's just something I've been doing for quite a while. And I feel good about it because I'm like, okay, you just go through one trash bag a week. Because a lot of what our trash is these days is packaging. Everything comes in so much packaging. So I feel like the less packaging I have in my trash, the better it is. And I can just get by with one bag of week, one trash bag a week. Next thing I wanted to mention is I feel like a lot of people spend money on things that are very basic. So now I was one of them because obviously because I wasn't born here, so I wasn't raised by someone who knew how to cook pancakes or or cookies or any of that kind of stuff. My mom did not know those things. It was not something that she had been raised with, so she didn't teach it to me. So I would go out and buy like the pancake mix. I didn't realize that pancake mix is just simple ingredients like, baking, I don't know if it's baking soda, baking powder, but flour, eggs, butter, that kind of stuff. It's just basic stuff that most people have sitting around at home. I know it's a convenience thing, but when you're trying to pay off debt, paying off debt is not convenient. We just have to basically just state that as a fact. It's not convenient. If you want the easy thing, then it's easier to just stay in debt and to keep buying those things. It's much harder to pay off the debt. It takes a lot more discipline. So some of these decisions are not going to be the easier thing to do. So basically, I just want to mention, so I wanted to talk about the fact that like there's a lot of things that you can make. For example, like I said, pancake batter, even bread. Like if you're able to make bread, I feel like there's no excuse anymore. There's so many videos on YouTube that teach you how to do these basic things, like making bread, making pancake batter, chocolate chip cookies, all those kind of things. And if it's a convenience thing you want, then I actually have like a bottle. I have a glass bottle that I make the pancake mix in, and I put it in there when I want it. I just scoop out 1 cup. So I'm not buying pancake mix. I'm just using the flour, sugar, all those kinds of things that I have already laying around at home. So I feel like it's good to use all of those ingredients that you already have. I'd rather go out and buy a big 10-pound bag of flour than go buy pancake mix, because I just think I'm going to get more for my money from the flour, and I can turn that flour into cookies. I can turn it into bread. I can turn it into pancake mix. I can turn it into cakes, pies, all sorts of things that I can't do with pancake batter. So I just think it's better to try to make those things yourself. And so I just feel like, even with chocolate chip cookies, that's another thing that I actually make the chocolate chip cookies and I scoop it out onto a baking sheet. I have like this measuring spoon for cookies, and I just measure it out and drop it onto a baking sheet, and then I stick it in the freezer until they're frozen, and then I put them in a Ziploc bag. And whenever we want cookies, I don't have to go out and buy, it's a convenience thing at that point. I've already done the prep work, and I have chocolate chip cookies at my home all the time. I especially did it when my kids were like teenagers, because they would have friends over, and it was just really nice to be able to just, take out how many ever chocolate chip cookies out of that bag. My kids always knew that there were chocolate chip cookies frozen in the bag, so sometimes they would take them out themselves and make cookies if they wanted a cookie. So speaking about pancake mix and cookies and all, reminded me that, so when you're making cookies, most cookies will tell you that they want softened butter. And so you leave it out on your counter, however you soften your butter, you soften it, and you're left with a wrapper, which usually has some butter on it. There's always some butter on it. Of course, you could scrape it off, but there's still some butter on it. So what I started doing is I started just keeping the butter, and a lot of times I put them in a Ziploc bag and stick them in the freezer. And when I need to grease a pan, I don't need to go buy spray. Now I actually do have a bottle of spray, in all honesty, I do, but I have no intentions of ever buying another one, and I'm waiting for it to finish, which most of the time I don't remember I have it, so it's not finishing. But I basically take this wrapper and I wipe the surface that I'm trying to grease, and then I throw away the wrapper. Then I feel like I've got my money's worth out of it. So that's another thing I do, is just keep the wrapper and use this wrapper for greasing. My next tip is basically on food waste. I've read statistics, which is really a sad statistic, that Americans throw away 30 to 40% of the food that they bring home. A lot of the reason is because we're not planning for our food. We're not planning what we're doing with it. We're walking through the grocery store and saying, this looks nice, this looks nice. A lot of the thing about paying off debt is basically being intentional with how you spend your money. That means intentional with your grocery. So when I started trying to pay off my debt and I had a certain amount of grocery budget, I never even walked in the grocery store without a list. I have a dry erase board, and it's just one that, like, it's a real thin one that is magnetic and just attaches to the side of my refrigerator. So all week long, if I'm cooking something and I notice that something's running out, I'll just go and write it on the dry erase board, and this helps me keep track of things that I need to buy. So basically, it's about really reducing our food waste. It's being intentional when we shop. Another thing that I do in line with food waste is that when something, especially fruit, is going bad, I will make a point to freeze the fruit. A lot of times with bananas. Last time I bought a ton of bananas. Well, maybe not a ton. I bought a good amount of bananas, and unfortunately they did not get eaten. So I ended up just cutting them into 3 pieces, taking the peel off, and then freezing them. And I'll use them in smoothies. I can make banana bread with it, or just banana chocolate chip bread, which is something that I really like to make. So I basically try to make sure that no food goes to waste as much as I can, that I preserve it. Even when I buy chicken, I tend to buy a whole chicken, and I will take the like parts that you wouldn't normally cook, maybe like the backbone or the like the giblets or the neck and all that kind of stuff. I use that, and I'll just stick it in a freezer bag, and I can turn it into chicken stock, or sometimes I add those items to my dog foods, because I make my own food for my dog, so I'll put that in there for the dog. The dogs love eating that, so that works out really well for me. That's another way of reducing food waste. But you just have to be intentional. And I mean, I think if we could imagine, they said like if you look up what the average person spends on groceries, which I've read from like the government's website, that it should be like $100 per person per month. So if you just think about $40 out of that $100 is basically being $30 to $40. $30 to $40 of that $100 is basically going in the garbage, because things are spoiling. And believe me, I'm guilty of it myself. It's not, I'm not, saying something that I haven't done myself, but I really am trying to be more intentional. Next thing is to basically use paper towels. We do not keep paper towels up in our kitchen at all. I do buy paper towels, and I have them in my basement, because if there's something really messy that requires a paper towel, then I want to be able to throw it away and not, wash it. I do use paper towels, but I do not keep it in the kitchen. If I keep it in the kitchen, it gets used. So I normally just have a regular kitchen towel in our kitchen. That's what we use to wash, to dry our hands, and whatever else we have dish rags that we keep in our drawers. So we do not use paper towels unless absolutely necessary. And like I said, I make it difficult by putting it in the basement, because I feel like if it's sitting on the counter, it's going to be easy and it's going to get used. My last tip is basically, and this might not seem like a money-saving tip, but it's to declutter your kitchen. A lot of people keep buying repeat items because they can't find the things that they've, have bought. They'll keep buying more of the same thing, or they'll just, they'll buy something and they'll feel like, oh, this is a better thing. So they go out and spend more money. And one goal that I've put for myself, because I'm guilty of this, is that I tend to replace an item with a better item. And I feel like right now I've been telling myself, you already have this item, you don't need to replace it with a better version. But if you declutter your kitchen and you know what you have, if you have something that's not working for you, it clearly doesn't work, then you need to replace it, and that's one thing. But don't keep buying more items and more items. And a lot of times people have things disorganized, and it's just, they can't find it, and that should never be a reason that you go out and buy something, is that you can't find it. It's one thing if the item is not working for you. That's a totally different situation, and you thought that would work for you, but it didn't. We all buy items that we thought are going to fix our issues, fix our problems, and make our life easier. And I'm totally on board with buying appliances that make your life easier, if they truly make your life easier. But if they just become a decoration in your kitchen, or become an obstacle for you to reach the things that you actually do use, then it's not worthwhile. So definitely, I feel like you would spend less money if you knew the items that you had, and then you could actually make a educated judgment on, do I need to buy another can opener? My can opener doesn't work properly. Don't keep buying things just to have as a backup either. There will always be can openers at the store. You do not need to go out and have can opener after can opener. I understand it might be an inconvenience, but money saving is never a very convenient thing. So having multiples and backup of things is not, I'm not telling you to, I don't think you should go out and purchase those things and buy like a can opener and then the backup to the can opener. I think you should have a can opener that works for you, and that's it. And when it breaks, you'll buy another one. You most likely won't go back and use an old one. And people tend to keep the old items that they've abandoned and moved on to also, just in case. That makes your kitchen more cluttered, harder for you to use, and then you can't find things, and then you end up going out and buying that same item. Keeping a clutter-free kitchen, or at least relatively clutter-free, will help you spend less money, because you'll know what you have and you won't go out and buy things you already have. I hope these tips are something that you will find useful. I hope you enjoyed this video. These are, like I said, things that I personally am applying to my life. Obviously, they don't work for everyone, but I hope some of them will be useful to you. I hope you liked this video, and if you did enjoy this video, remember to click the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.